It has finally happened. The Japanese season has finally arrived in Conqueror's Blade. Honestly, super hyped for this. It's got to be probably the most requested season we've had since frankly the whole seasonal thing started. So today we're going to be very quickly covering everything we know so far before we get to dive into the preview event next week on Tuesday the 23rd. Even better, my games have given me 3 Battlecast codes for the new season to give away in today's video, so if you'd like to be in with a chance to get one of them, all you need to do is comment down below what you're most excited about for the new season, and I'll pick 3 winners at random on the 23rd and drop you a message to get in touch and send you the code. So, what do we actually know about the new season so far? Firstly, we know the new season is going to be arriving on June the 1st, so we haven't actually got all that long to wait. It's just under 2 weeks, and obviously we know it's going to be a Japanese season. But pretty unsurprisingly, 3 new units. This kind of has become the staple of all new seasons, and it's no real surprise here. Now, there's probably going to be some upcoming name butchering, so do correct me in the comments down below. That can be your comment to the competition entry, if you like. So, for Tier 3, it looks like we're going to be getting a Ronin. This is going to be like a sword-wielding unit. That must be this guy here over on the left. High damage, short burst. Really kind of hard to say much more than that about it until we really kind of get it into the test server and then obviously onto the live server. Tier 3 units are always kind of interesting, assuming that we're always going to be having the Tier 3 lock when the season opens as well. It means it's got potential. High burst damage kind of tends to play pretty well at the Tier 3 lock, so could be quite an interesting unit. We've then got a Glaive Infantry, which is kind of interesting considering we had a Glaive Cavalry last season. The Onamusha, that's what we're going to go for, correct me in the comments. Doesn't really tell us much about them. Look kind of interesting, liking the look of this big glaive. It's going to fit in quite nicely as I'm still currently playing the Glaive hero. And finally, for Tier 5, some Orochi Samurai, an anti-cavalry unit. Kind of interesting, a little bit unexpected. I'm kind of interested how they're going to compare to, say, Madao. Obviously, a 5-star cavalry unit, the only 5-star anti-cav in the game. Also, at the moment, is Madao. Looks like they've got these reasonably long pikes, but they don't look anything like the sort of length of something like a Fortebraccio. So, to my mind, they're probably going to be playing more like Madao than they are Fortebraccio. Personally, as an infantry player, I like this. A more anti-cav I think is a good thing, and I certainly think it's better to do more anti-cav rather than nerfing cavalry. I think if you're going to do it, it's better to balance with counters than it is to be directly nerfing cavalry units. But I'm sure there's probably, obviously, if you're a cavalry player, you're probably slightly less thrilled about the introduction of that as a new unit. Elsewise, stuff is pretty standard. We're going to be getting, obviously, the normal battle pass. I'm kind of liking the look of some of these attires. This is pretty cool. I'm liking the look of this. It may replace temporarily my usual Templar attire, so we may be getting that out. We'll come back to the unit mastery in a minute because they actually announced this probably about a week ago now, and it's kind of an interesting concept that I want to touch on a little bit in this video because I haven't talked about it anywhere else. We know we're going to be getting a new PvE mode, which is also going to essentially be tying into this unit mastery. And we know that we're going to be able to basically get onto the PTR server on Tuesday the 23rd. So then, from hopefully, once I get back from work, should be able to dive in, test out some of the new units. We can answer kind of all your questions over on Twitch, what's going on, and what we want to sort of investigate. And hopefully we can actually get a bit of a better idea to test some of these new units as well. And obviously, it's also worth mentioning, if you want to change servers, it always happens at the end of the seasons. You need to get your application in before the 31st of May to do any server swapping that you want to do. Okay, that's that. Unit mastery. Because it's kind of an interesting thing, but we don't really have all that many details on it yet, at least not that I've been able to see. Firstly, I absolutely love this picture of a Prefecture Guard. It's so cool. More cool than a Prefecture Guard has ever looked before. So they go on to basically talk about there's a lot of units currently in Conqueror's Blade and a lot of historic units. And the fact that they basically are admitting that they're perhaps struggling to really keep up with the balance of these units. They've talked a bit about making Halberdier Sergeants and Dagger Axe Lancers more relevant. I think particularly in the case of Dagger Axe Lancers, that's probably a little bit too relevant sometimes. But they're talking about they're looking for a new way to resolve that. And that is going to be through unit mastery, which they're going to be introducing with the new season. So it's basically a new unit growth mechanic, which is going to be in addition to the usual veterancy line that units have. So they go on to talk about the fact that this is primarily going to be for units tier 2, 3 and 4 units, but they might add tier 5 units in possibly at a later date. We don't know, but for now they're doing 2, 3 and 4. So it's going to unlock on this menu over here essentially. And you're essentially going to be unlocking unit mastery through PvE mechanics, which is how they sort of talk about it. Now, essentially, if you complete all your PvE content on a daily basis, you should essentially be able to unlock mastery for up to 3 units a month. And there is going to be a cap on that, so you're not going to be able to train them all up basically at once. You're going to be capped to that sort of 3 a month. It does seem a little bit concerned about how they say completing PvE content daily. I can't say that I particularly log into Conqueror's Blade to play daily PvE content. I get enough PvE content doing my 5 weekly bandit raids, so I'm not sure how well that's going to go down, because I don't think we all want to be playing boatloads of PvE content. They say they're going to be introducing about 5 a month, so there's not going to be mastery levels available for all units all at once when this comes out. They're going to be adding in about 5 a month. Well, considering that they're also doing 2-star units, and perhaps if you're a more experienced player, you might not be so interested in that, you're probably going to be able to unlock these mastery points basically as quickly as they're coming out, give or take. Now, they also go on to say that they're increasing the levels, so this is the veterancy line levels of 2, 3 and 4-star units. So 2 and 3-star units are all going up to level 18 and the 4-star units to level 24. So if you've got everything currently leveled in your barracks like me, you can have a little bit of catching up to do, trying to catch up on some of these units. That's going to kind of throw us a little bit as well. Now, finally, it comes on to promotions. So if you don't know, promotions are things like men-at-arms being upgraded to paladins, or Laos Rangers being upgraded from the Fire Lancers, right? It's about upgrading these base units that got transformed into new units by completing the seasonal challenges. Now, they go on to talk about how these are relatively unpopular and they're relatively confusing essentially for new players. And to that point, at least I would agree. I think new players coming to the game, it's pretty hard to understand this random unit that's on the tech tree is suddenly promoted through a season that's 10 seasons ago and no one's told you anything about it or even how you're supposed to do it. So in that sense, I agree. And so they're essentially scrapping them as promoted units. And they're basically just going to be transforming them into a new standalone unit. They go on to explain a little bit about how you won't be doing it no longer through the seasonal challenges, and the units must now be created individually, so that if you want to do it, you should be promoting the units now. The only thing I can't see that it clears up is, for example, at the moment, nodes in men-at-arms also affect paladins. So if paladins become their own standalone unit, either on the unit tree or just on the seasonal challenges, will they be losing those nodes? In which case it's going to be a de facto nerf to things like stalwarts, paladins, the landsknechts and the armigers. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how they plan on dealing with that. Other than that, we're really missing any real detail of what these mastery upgrades are going to be on the new units. It does sound kind of like an exciting system. My only concern might be that if it's just going to be creating a bigger gap between new players coming into the game who essentially don't have this, and particularly at the tier 3 cap, are we going to be having units that are now max leveled with all purple doctrines, and now essentially going to have a max mastery line going up against level 5 prefecture guards. We really need to make sure that the matchmaking system is up to the challenge of dealing with these disparities in levels, so we don't really drive away new players. Anyway, all in all, a really exciting season. Really looking forward to getting stuck into the new Japanese season. And bringing you more details and news probably on Tuesday the 23rd with the new PTR where we can get on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.